And joining us right now is Apollo 7 astronaut Walt Cunningham, and the final Space Shuttle mission, of course, is taking place right now. And Walt, it's you. First of all, welcome to Houston's Morning News. It's great to have you with us here this morning.
Well, thank you, Matt. I assume you want all the answers, so you're calling me.
Yeah, and I only have about 2 minutes, Walt, so you're going to have to get them all in 2 minutes. Can you do that, sir?
No.
Listen, welcome to the show. And I was going to say that as you look at this final mission of the Space Shuttle as an astronaut, it's got to be a little bittersweet, I would assume.
Well, there's no sweetness to it at all. It's actually a very foolish decision to cancel the shuttle orbiter without something, in stream, and I have no idea what that is. They're canceling out the greatest flying machine that's ever been built, and it's also the safest manned spacecraft that's ever been built. And they're canceling it without some place to go in the near future.
Joining us, Apollo 7 astronaut Walt Cunningham. And Mr. Cunningham, when you were flying in Apollo 7 back in 1968, that was nothing more than maybe, compared to today's technology, a tin can going up there in space, right?
Well, yes, but it did its job quite effectively, and now what they're talking about, of course, is going back to a capsule again after having perfected a completely reusable system with the space shuttle.
Have you voiced your concerns to anyone in the at NASA or at Johnson Space Center, the administration? Do they know how you feel about this?
They know from the top on down how I feel about this. I've been on record a lot, but it's a totally hopeless kind of situation.
Why do you think that is, Walt? Why do you think that they were so quick? And it was George W. Bush that really kind of began the end of the Space Shuttle program.
Well, that's the story they'd like to put out for you right now. But actually, George W. Bush is the one that converted to the Space Exploration Initiative, but they did not fund it enough. And so now they talk about it being over budget and not on schedule. That was before they canceled it, and that was just a convenient whipping boy. It's never going to be cheap to go into space. We are right now even talking about cutting a couple $2 billion from NASA's budget, and when it was inadequate in the first place to do what they had been charged to do. So that all takes leadership from the top, and I mean President of the United States, and we have a president who is totally uninterested in the United States' preeminence in space.
Joining us, Apollo 7 astronaut Walt Cunningham. And Mr. Cunningham, I'm going to ask you to hang on here. I want you to recall what it was like back in 1968 when you were on Apollo 7 and kind of share those thoughts with us as we begin to look to the end of the Space Shuttle mission. Walt, thanks for hanging around. We appreciate it. What is it that you recall? Was there an aha moment when you were on Apollo 7? Was it maybe when you looked back and saw the planet Earth? That is, I've talked to astronauts, that seems to be the thing they mention the most.
Well, I'm sure that when you're coming back from the moon, that's it. But Apollo 7 was the test flight for all of the Apollo vehicles. It was the first manned Apollo mission, and it was probably the most ambitious and successful first test flight of any new vehicle ever. But that was just to lay the groundwork so they could go around the moon on the next one. Aha moments, no, our whole life back then was aha. We were, the older I get, the more I realize how fortunate I was to live at that time, because the space program has changed tremendously since that period. Keep in mind that it takes three things to go out and explore space, or maybe explore almost anything, and that is, it takes the technology, it takes the money, and it takes the will to do it. And back in those days, they were willing to pay the price, and it will always be expensive going to space, no matter what anybody else tries to tell you. And we did have the technology, developed the technology, and we had the will to do it. Now today, of course, we know that we're suffering from money on almost anything right now, but we do have all the technology. We have the best technology in the world that we're going to be let slipping. The real question is, do we have the will to do it anymore? And I have to tell you, I don't see that will out there to go out and really explore the universe.
Do you think we'll ever get that back, Walt? I mean, that will to explore, and I agree, that is the final frontier for us here as human beings, to go out there and explore. I mean, where do we get that backbone that you and the other Apollo astronauts had? Where do we find that again?
Well, you'll still find people that have that, because I think a lot of us out here are complaining because it seems to be missing. But it's missing in leadership. It's missing from the top down. You know, we've turned into kind of a risk-averse society here. Nobody's supposed to be hurt during doing anything, or risking their life.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are a lot of things in life worth dying for, actually, and people don't seem to realize that anymore. We're looking for, quick return. We don't want to pay the price to do a lot of these things. So I'm not all that optimistic about when we're going to get that kind of an attitude back.
Apollo 7 astronaut Walt Cunningham, it has been a pleasure, sir, to talk with you, and I look forward to talking with you again as we move forward about many topics that concern spaceflight. Thank you, Walt, for your time.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Nice being with you.
And you too. And don't forget, you can